When you are truly filled with the Holy Spirit, something deep within you begins to shift, so radically that the world may not understand you anymore, and even you might wonder what's happening to your mind, your emotions, and your desires. You stop chasing what once thrilled you because the Spirit within you begins to kill your appetite for sin. That's the first undeniable proof. You can't enjoy what breaks God's heart anymore. The same activities that once felt harmless now leave you feeling empty, convicted, or even disgusted. You don't just feel bad, you feel grieved, because the Holy Spirit in you is grieved, Ephesians 4 verse 30. You start noticing that temptation no longer excites you, it exposes you. You see sin for what it truly is, a prison that used to look like pleasure. When the Holy Spirit fills you, He rewires your desire, and that's something no self-discipline or religion could ever do. The second sign is the way you begin to crave solitude with God more than the noise of the world. It's not that you suddenly hate people, but the Spirit draws you into secret places where divine whispers replace worldly applause. You start sensing when something is off in your spirit, and you can't scroll through your phone, watch certain things, or hang out in certain environments without feeling spiritually suffocated. You begin to discern energies, motives, and atmospheres, not through suspicion, but through holy sensitivity. Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray, Luke 5 verse 16, and when the Spirit fills you, you feel that same magnetic pull to the quiet, where your soul can breathe. You realize silence is not loneliness, it's an invitation. The third sign is supernatural peace in chaos. When the Spirit dwells in you, storms no longer control your mood. You can be in the middle of heartbreak, financial struggle, or betrayal, and still have that unexplainable calm that makes others wonder if you're in denial. But you're not, you're anchored. Philippians 4 verse 7 calls it the peace that surpasses understanding, and when it comes, you'll know it's not natural. You stop reacting out of fear and start responding with faith, because something inside whispers, "Be still and know that I am God," Psalm 46 verse 10. That's when you realize you've been transformed from a worrier into a warrior. The fourth sign is bold obedience, where hesitation used to rule you, now conviction does. The Holy Spirit gives you courage to say no to what everyone else celebrates and yes to what heaven commands. You stop needing validation from people because you're driven by the voice of God, not the applause of men. Acts 5 verse 29 says, "We must obey God rather than men," and when that verse becomes more than words, when it becomes your heartbeat, you know the Spirit is fully alive in you. You'll lose some friends, some comfort, maybe even opportunities, but your spirit will be free, and freedom always feels better than fitting in. The final sign, perhaps the most hidden yet the most powerful, is divine love. Not the soft, convenient kind that the world sells, but the relentless, forgiving, sacrificial love that can only come from God Himself. You'll know the Holy Spirit has filled you when you start loving people who wounded you, praying for those who betrayed you, blessing those who mocked you, and interceding for souls you once wanted to avoid. That's not human, it's heavenly. Romans 5 verse 5 says the love of God has been poured into our hearts by the Holy Spirit, and when that flood comes, it drowns bitterness, resentment, and revenge. You begin to see people through the eyes of Christ, broken, not beyond redemption. You'll notice that the more you love, the more you grieve over sin, and the more you grieve, the more you intercede, until your life itself becomes a prayer. And here's what most people miss. Being filled with the Spirit is not about emotional highs, goosebumps during worship, or speaking in tongues alone. It's about transformation that makes you unrecognizable to your past self. You begin to hunger for righteousness like a starving man craves food, Matthew 5 verse 6. You become dangerous to hell, because the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead now lives in you, Romans 8 verse 11. You'll notice that your discernment sharpens. What others call instinct, you know is revelation. You begin to sense when someone's spirit is heavy, when a room is dark, when words carry demonic undertones. You can walk into a situation and feel the battle in the unseen realm because the Holy Spirit trains your senses to detect spiritual realities. And with that awareness comes responsibility, to pray, to bind, to stand firm. But even in warfare, you are not anxious, because you realize authority flows through peace, not panic. You stop begging God for what you already carry and start walking in the authority of what He already gave you. You'll speak, and things shift, not because of who you are, but because of who lives in you. That's the secret most believers overlook. The Spirit doesn't just visit, He occupies. He takes territory within you. He transforms your inner landscape until your thoughts, reactions, and desires align with heaven's rhythm. You become a vessel, and the evidence is unmistakable. Your speech changes, words once sharp or careless become filled with grace and truth. Your eyes change, you look at others not as rivals but as souls. Your habits change, suddenly, purity feels like power, not restriction. Your priorities change, you start choosing the eternal over the immediate. You'll even notice your suffering changes meaning, pain no longer feels like punishment but purification. Romans 8 verse 28 begins to make sense, not as a cliché, but as a revelation. All things work together for good to those who love God. You understand that delay is not denial, that closed doors are protection, that pruning is proof of purpose. That's how you know the Spirit is guiding your steps. The Holy Spirit doesn't make life easier, He makes you stronger. He doesn't remove the fire, He walks you through it without letting you burn. He doesn't silence the enemy, He gives you discernment to recognize his lies before they take root. And the deeper you yield, the louder heaven's voice becomes. Soon you'll realize the most dangerous thing you can do is resist his leading. When he says move, you move. When he says forgive, you forgive. When he says wait, you wait. That obedience becomes your power source. It's not loud, not glamorous, but it's the unmistakable signature of a Spirit-filled life. You stop trying to prove your faith and start living it. The world might not understand your peace, your passion, your priorities, but heaven does. You carry the presence that raised the dead, healed the sick, and turned the world upside down. And that presence is not just in you to bless you, it's in you to transform everything around you. The question is not whether the Holy Spirit is in you, the real question is whether He has all of you. Because when He does, you'll never be the same again. And if this message stirred something deep inside your spirit, if you felt that tug, that confirmation, that burning in your heart, then don't just scroll away. Subscribe now and join a community of believers who refuse to live lukewarm, who are hungry for more of God's power, more of His presence, and more of His truth. Let's grow together in the fire of the Holy Spirit, because your transformation is only beginning.